Chainlink at $100 is going to be a very big psychological barrier for most people, but what they don't realize is $100 isn't the final destination for Chainlink. I believe it's the starting line. Now, I've got the data, the catalysts, and the proof that goes to show Chainlink could go way, way higher. By the end of this video, I'm going to reveal why Chainlink's price hasn't yet exploded with all of the amazing announcements I'm going to show you in this video, where its price could go, and how I would treat Chainlink over the next few years. Just to clarify though, I don't think it's ever a bad idea just to take profits for anyone wondering, okay? In my opinion, if you can get out of Chainlink even before $100, it's best to do that if it meets your goals because you can sit back and enjoy the show without having any risk in the markets. We actually have a great bunch of sell levels pre-planned for you for different coins and a custom sell calculator as well. So you can take the complexity out of selling in this very difficult and confusing time. And that's all done, of course, in our private community. I'll leave the links down below. Now, it's not just myself saying that Chainlink can do some pretty crazy numbers. Token Metrics, a very old, like 10 years old and reliable research platform, recently put this tweet out here saying that Chainlink going to $100 is inevitable. They gave a bunch of reasons. We're actually going to go much, much deeper in this video into kind of similar and adjacent topics, but again, much deeper. And it's funny because if you have a look, Chainlink's price now is roughly speaking $25. So it's about a 4x to just go to $100. But I'm going to make the point in this video as to why, again, I think it can go much higher and why I believe $100 really is only the start for Chainlink. And yes, I'm talking about this bull run. Of course, this is all if things go to plan. If we have a sudden black swan event in 3 months' time, then things are going to be a bit different. But as it stands right now, I'm very confident in this bull market and alt season actually playing out. And like I said, if you wait till the end of the video, I'm going to be covering and answering some pretty important questions as well as a possible price prediction. Like Greed asks here, this question will be answered. Headline after headline, great news after great news, partnership after partnership, and we cannot even reach prior all-time highs. There must be something wrong. So we're going to cover 3 main things that make me extremely bullish on the price of Chainlink going well above $100. Before we do though, just understand something, and this isn't one of those 3 things. Chainlink now has something called the Chainlink Reserve. They are buying Chainlink on the open market. Right now, the value of this reserve is $6.5 million. Their average buy price of Chainlink is at $22, and they currently hold 280,000 Chainlink tokens. They are generating hundreds of million dollars in revenue, and the goal here simply being any on-chain or off-chain revenue. That's things from like actual partnerships with some of the biggest institutions and even governments around the world. And anything that happens within crypto, any of that period of revenue is used to buy back to some degree Chainlink tokens. And like I said, on the open market. So this actually creates positive buy pressure. As you can see, they have an average buy price here. The more Chainlink is used and adopted, the more money they have to buy Chainlink. And that may look like a very bullish scenario where demand really begins picking up for the Chainlink Reserve. It could pump the price from the current levels between 50 to 100%. But I mean, that's in the bullish and best possible case. And even then, as Chainlink's price goes up, it's going to be harder to buy the same amount of Chainlink every single week. Right now, they're averaging 40,000 Chainlink in this reserve every week. And even with an increase in demand, as the price goes up, it just simply becomes more difficult. So all I'm looking at this reserve pretty much doing here is creating a higher floor for the price of Chainlink and effectively creating a buffer. If we do have a sudden drop in the market, this reserve is like a massive whale continuously buying 40, 50, maybe even 100,000 Chainlink per week. So it hopefully won't, mean the price will fall down all that much, creating more interest, creating more strength, and therefore more people may want to buy the Chainlink token. And speaking of buying the Chainlink token, if you wanted to buy the Chainlink token, then you can use either Bitunics or Femex, 2 of their exchange partners. You'll get some really, really good sign-up bonuses over there. Plus also, if you sign up via level 0 and unlock this with us, you get a whole bunch of awesome features completely for free, like all of these you can see on the left-hand side here. This is all for free, guys. You get our swing trade setups, you get macro analysis to keep ahead of that curve. You also get things like hot picks, airdrop guides, meme coin casino picks, and a lot more. The whole point here is to give you professional guidance when it comes to trading these massive ups and downs to keep filling up your main bags, like Chainlink, for example, all right? So we can see win after win, doesn't matter what coin it really is. But of course, if you wanted to buy Chainlink, then you can support us and support yourself. Level 0, come join Bitunix or Femex, links down below. Can't wait to see you win there. But what are those three things that I mentioned that I think separates Chainlink from the rest of the market? The first is the CCIP, the cross-chain interoperability protocol. The way you can understand this is looking at cryptocurrencies kind of like islands. These layer ones like TON, Injective, NIA, ETH, even Bitcoin, Hedera, Flux, they suffer from one very important thing. They might be fast, they might be secure, but they can't really talk to one another very well. Now, over the last few years, it's kind of gotten a bit better, but these islands, there's no bridges between them. And if there is a bridge, you kind of have to do a lot of work as a developer to make that bridge work. And even then, if you have $1 million in liquidity on this chain, let's say you got $1 million on Ethereum, if you try to put that over to Injective, you're not starting with $1 million, okay? You got nothing. So you have to get $1 million over here to have that same level of liquidity. So Chainlink comes along and says, we've built this thing called CCIP, and we're going to enable all you developers to build one smart contract and talk to any other layer one extremely easily. And again, allows there to be a single point of liquidity. The benefits here aren't just traditional finance coming into crypto, your banks, institutions, governments, but also DeFi crypto itself. A recent partnership here with BitLayer Labs, who are essentially unlocking Bitcoin's liquidity, allowing people to, access the $2.3 trillion locked up in Bitcoin. So it's not just a store of value, but you can actually use it in DeFi. Well, they've worked together here to enable a much more seamless bridge between ETH and BitLayer, pretty much allowing, apps on ETH to access the liquidity BitLayer is getting from Bitcoin, and very soon it'll be directly via the YBTC, which is BitLayer's BTC pegged assets for anyone using the CCIP. So any of these layer ones hooked up to Chainlink, they can access all of Bitcoin's liquidity for DeFi. That's not even the tip of the iceberg. Chainlink collaborating here with the leading financial institutions around the world: Fidelity, ANZ, Swift, DTCC, Citigroup, BNY Mellon, JP Morgan, State Street, Franklin Templeton. It goes on. We hear about these headlines all the time. Big names, big announcements, but like Greed says here, headline after headline, great news after great news, partnership after partnership. None of these things really translate into the price going up. I'm going to get to that, but don't let what I'm about to say, okay, because I'm guessing most people agree with Greed, don't let that get in your head and let you ignore the gravity of all of these amazing partnerships. The DTCC, these guys here, I've been working with Chainlink since well before even 2023. I was basically in diapers back then on Swift's interoperability project. So this is that project right here, and you can see Chainlink CCIP being used to connect Swift with blockchains. And following the successful collaboration on this project, the DTCC has begun to work with Chainlink to explore additional opportunities for blockchain technology within capital markets. Now, some of you guys are thinking to yourselves, Corin, what the hell is a DTCC? Is it a disease? Do I have it? Should I ask GPT? The answer is no. What it is a financial clearing and settlement layer for the entire US financial system. These guys process and settle $3.7 quadrillion worth of securities every single year. That's $1.2 trillion daily. It maintains custody of around $87 trillion in securities across more than 130 global jurisdictions. So it ain't the chicken pox. This is the serious big boy of big boys. So because of that, they worked with the DTCC on a pilot program called SmartNav to bring trusted data to the blockchain ecosystem. So they're working with Swift, they're working with the DTCC. I mean, these are the biggest cross-border players ever. It doesn't get bigger. Now, most of you probably don't know what the DTCC is, and now you do, but I think all of us know what Swift is. It's essentially the way you get money from Citibank to any other bank and vice versa. It is the international way to send money. If you've ever used an international transaction, you've had to put in a Swift code. What Swift is doing here is moving away from their old messaging format and moving on to something called ISO 20022. You may have heard a YouTuber speak about ISO 222 compliant blockchains and why they might pump in this new financial system. Well, this new financial system is coming into place on the 22nd of November. Now, don't get it twisted. You can be a compliant blockchain or a compliant institution. You kind of have to be to plug in a SWIFT. It doesn't mean that these coins will inherently somehow be used in the new financial system. It just means they can accept transactions from banks, for example. Now, as we know, Chainlink is working with SWIFT to a pretty heavy degree, and they've been working with them for years. Most recently, this report here from November 2024, where SWIFT and Chainlink worked together on a pilot to bridge tokenized assets into existing payment systems. So SWIFT is using Chainlink, particularly over here, as I showed you guys before, the CCIP, you can see it right here, to connect SWIFT and any bank transfer into crypto. As SWIFT says, SWIFT and Chainlink have successfully completed a pilot for settling tokenized fund subscriptions and redemptions using the SWIFT network across more than 11,500 financial institutions and 200 countries, essentially spanning the whole entire SWIFT network all around the world. Now, again, this report was 2024. Why am I bringing this up? Well, right now, SWIFT's old system and the new ISO 222 system have been kind of coexisting, okay? The ISO 222 new way of messaging went live back in March of 2023. And as I said briefly before, the older system is being grandfathered, and every institution, everyone that needs to connect to SWIFT, which is basically everyone, must now use, as of the 22nd of November, the new ISO 222 way of messaging. And so the fact that SWIFT is still working with Chainlink up until like less than 12 months ago in a pilot program for tokenized assets on chain, what does that tell you? That tells you that with the implementation of ISO 222, we may see Chainlink ramp up here and be used as the de facto way SWIFT gets any of these financial institutions to settle tokenized transactions in crypto. It's definitely going to be a buy the news event. I don't know if we'll have any warning before that sort of event and news drops. The biggest financial institutions around the world are using Chainlink in these pilot programs. We know it's being used, and we're about to be ushered into this new financial messaging system, which Chainlink could very well be a key part of. But it's not just that, because they're also, again, Chainlink, in the pockets of the two largest credit card processors in the world by far. They have the monopoly, and that is, of course, Visa and MasterCard. So dark blue and gray, number of global transactions. Again, they have the lion's share together and a basic monopoly over the US market over here. And if you have a look at what they're doing together, I mean, look at this. MasterCard, for example, is working with Chainlink to, I think, bring the biggest wave of liquidity into altcoins in general. All right, where essentially anyone that owns a MasterCard can instantly mint altcoins, stable coins, even Bitcoin on chain via the MasterCard. You bypass opening up a bloody exchange account, buying USDT with your fiat, waiting for that to get on chain, and then having to go ahead and learn how to actually buy the token itself. Better yet, even trying to use a decentralized wallet, okay? So this enables instant mint and redemptions, whatever it may be, into crypto from fiat. It's incredible. 3.5 billion MasterCard users. Now, the partnership with Visa is less impactful for us altcoin holders, but nevertheless, it's very important for Chainlink, which is they've done some pilot program testing with Visa, getting someone from a very large Australian and New Zealand bank, ANZ, okay, it's one of the largest banks over here, and doing transactions into Hong Kong's central bank, right? The Hong Kong Monetary Authority. So they're working with the largest institutions in the world and some of the most important central banks. Incredible sort of stuff. And again, this just goes on and on. Here's actually a report from Visa themselves mentioning Chainlink. And again, importantly, as I'm trying to get to here, CCIP. And they work with Kinesis, which is a blockchain private network built by JP Morgan, with Ondo to do the first ever transaction outside of their private network for JP Morgan, which settled on Ondo. Again, it used the CCIP from Chainlink. Again, this is all still CCIP. And remember, JP Morgan Chase, okay, these guys are actually the United States' largest credit card issuer. So they're one of the biggest banks internationally. CCIP, number one. Number two, I'm really excited about this. I just learned about this, no joke, about a week ago. And that is the Chainlink Runtime Environment, or CRE. Now, it works in very closely here with the CCIP, and I'm going to let Chainlink's co-founder, Sergey, explain briefly what this does, and I'm going to add some context.
I think the Chainlink Runtime Environment, if done correctly, can have the same impact that the EVM had on the blockchain industry. Because before the EVM, it would take months to build a new smart contract. After the EVM, it went down to weeks or days. Now, to make these multi-chain, Oracle-powered, data-enriched smart contracts, it once again takes months. With the CRE from our own personal experience building on top of it, those months get reduced down to weeks or days. And that type of efficiency boost and the ability to control and orchestrate all these key components is, I think, something very valuable.
What Sergey is saying here is this CRE, or the Chainlink runtime environment, will kind of do to what Java runtime environment did for the internet way back in the 1990s and the 2010s, which was enable developers to build on this sort of virtual machine or in this program that was the same everywhere. So you could build something on, one platform and it would have the same features on another platform. So you wouldn't have to go out and build sort of different versions of that sort of script or code somewhere else. That's what it's essentially doing here. It's going to be built on top of the CCIP, so crypto developers can come in and build some code that is standardized across any other layer one, like I said before. So if you compare this with connecting liquidity and creating a very simple and similar messaging format for these projects to speak to one another, which is a CCIP, when you combine these two things, guys, what you have here is a new type of internet. It's Web3 for a reason. This is the Java of Web3. It's going to enable so much innovation, which is why I'm really, really excited about it. To summarize, developers will be able to seamlessly combine all Chainlink capabilities to create customized apps and unlock use cases not bound by any chain or different resource. So you can access any of Chainlink's features all in one place, all connected everywhere at once. One such example of this, Chainlink announced not long ago, back on July 17th. We're excited to announce the Westpac Institutional Bank, that's one of the largest banks in Australia, and Imperial Markets, implementing Chainlink in one of their new joint ventures with the Reserve Bank of Australia. The Chainlink runtime environment is orchestrating all of this. So it's not just crypto, it's going to be in the real world. CRE checked. What is the third and final boss? Well, it's something called ACE, or Automated Compliance Engine. To put it simply, we have CCIP connecting liquidity, connecting all of crypto, and even financial systems and institutions together. We have the CRE, the Chainlink runtime environment, on top of that, allowing anyone to easily use any of Chainlink's features to quickly build smart contracts. Now we have ACE, which is right up the traditional finance alley, because what it does here is enable things like custom KYC and AML laws to apply to the smart contract. You can easily punch in these things called ZKPs, which enable me, being, let's just say, a developer or an institution, to know you are who you say you are without me actually seeing your driver's license or passport, even though you enter that information in. It's cross-chain capable, right? Thanks to CCIP. So essentially, you can connect to private and public blockchains and comply with their rules and regulations. You can essentially go to market much faster. It goes on. So again, this is ACE, and it essentially plugs into the CRE, which is built on top of the CCIP. That's why I've picked these three. I think they're one of the most powerful things because, focusing on tokenization, that's where the money will flow in. All that out the way, you know why I'm bullish on Chainlink, and that is just covering the surface. It gets so much deeper in so many different areas. But to answer the question, Greed, and I'm guessing a lot of you guys have asked as well, I'm going to leverage something that Leon actually put really eloquently here and add more context. So he said, if you've ever wondered why Chainlink has all these headlines, but the price doesn't go up, a very similar story is what happened here with Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia. Years of planting seeds and building up these massive connections, and again, price doesn't move. At some point, eventually it breaks. At some point in time, price pops. And the best way I can describe this is network effects. It's trending, and then all of a sudden, there is one final announcement. Something causes essentially critical mass. This happened with Palantir, connections after connections, announcements after announcements, nothing. And then all of a sudden, now it's up 21, 22x. A very similar story recently with Chainlink, and I do really truly believe it's happening again now. These price fluctuations are really only from alt season gains. And so I do think once this all catches on and we have a critical mass moment, it is going to explode well beyond $100. Worst, average, and best case if the global market cap goes to 10 trillion, which I think is a pretty average middle ground. It's pretty much like just under a 3x from here. It's about 164% growth in market cap. And this down here is Chainlink's dominance. So again, worst, average, and best case. I don't think that Chainlink goes over a basically 1.7% dominance, but it does depend on the global market cap, of course. So in the worst case, I think Chainlink probably does stay the same dominance. Most coins will increase dominance at some point. So this is worst case. That's $41. An average case here I see being about 1%. That'll put the market cap at about 100 billion at $150. And I do think, again, best case, $260 at 175 billion market cap. If the market cap goes up, these numbers increase. If these go down, these decrease. Of course, that also might leave room for the percentage in dominance to go up as well. What I'm talking about here is theoreticals. It's just to give you a rough gauge of, based on market dominance and global market cap, what Chainlink could likely go to. Now, in my opinion, based on all of the things I've just spent the last 20 minutes explaining to you, I think the price will go over $100 as bull run. Definitely in future cycles, way over that. But I did want to actually mention this very, very briefly now as well, because the question of like, hey, I'm going to hold this coin through this bull run, into the next bull run, into the bull run after that, I don't think it's a smart idea. Again, I mean that in all due respect. My opinion, of course, being that multi-cycle compounding is the best way to make money, period. Any form of compounding usually is. Essentially taking the money you've bought in Chainlink today, selling it in this bull market. When the market crashes, and I do think it will crash quite severely actually, in the next bear market, if you still want to bet on the horse, as again, Chainlink we're talking about here. If you want to bet on Chainlink again, buying it in the bear market, selling in the next bull run. Now, Chainlink's one of like the very few, I mean, like I could probably name them on one hand, coins I'd take the risk on buying again in the next bear market. I'm mostly going to be in Bitcoin, but Chainlink, again, just with the amount of adoption, the sheer growth, would be a coin I see doing well, irrespective of crypto or not, because it's implementing itself into the real world as much as it is with crypto. Again, I'm waiting for Chainlink to have its critical mass moment, and I think there's a good chance it could happen as bull run, putting $100 well behind it. This is my thoughts, of course. I'd love to hear yours down below. Do you think $100 is way too high, or do you think $100 is just the beginning? Let me know below. Thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.